What happened?
Say it again.
Oh, yeah.
Like last time you said, let's
He wants to
evaluate this
start.
time.
Oh, we're valuing tonight. He has a late meeting tonight.
I'm sorry.
Oh, I thought
He has a really late
I can end real early.
No, you can't.
So you're saying yes to everything. Fantastic.
No, I'm saying yes to everything we proposed. Counter proposed.
All right, thank you all for the session today. And thank you for making arrangements. I know this is incredibly busy time. I will share with you that we have provided your team with official copies of the MOUs for the bottom 300 schools. So you all have the original copies, as well as the MOU you signed and the superintendent signed regarding those teachers and the bonus $1,000 for persons who don't fit the traditional classroom definition of teacher. Today, we're preparing to respond to your MOU as it relates to health, wellness, safety that you all offered yesterday. And so, okay. And then Leonard can.
First reading.
So Leonard can.
You have the red line. Right?
Yes,
Give just them.
here, I'm gonna give you. I
I'll
have the
give you a
red
red
line.
line to show what.
We did.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. But I didn't.
We'll
That's
we'll
okay.
walk
All
through
right,
it
no,
too.
That's fine.
Just need to
We'll walk
make sure that
through
I know what's
Yeah,
yeah.
not there.
That's what that was a goal.
That was our,
We're trying not to sneak
we're
anything
trying to
in.
be organized.
I'm not sure if this is red. I mean, is that
It looks a little
It's more
orange.
orange? So, you get the colors wrong already?
Right, you know, and then this is the rationale code of order. May provide unless users in the form of directed article. This is the rationale why we say we can't do it.
Right.
We can't, we can do it in a card indefinitely.
Okay, I'll try to go through item by item and some rationale. Some red lines and paragraphs we got rid of does not mean we're not going to do that. Some of it, we're reciting contract language. I did things last year I would normally not do, just because of during COVID. So if it's in the contract, it's in the contract. For by and large, that's a little bit of a theme. If it deals with money, we don't have authority today to accept money. So if we have to have an MOU, if you want money for just hypothetically say COVID leave, we may need a separate. If we're going to resolve terms and conditions of
An
employment,
additional MOU. to make
additional
Understood.
MOU, we would entertain and address that separately because money will stall all of this process. So right away up front, we have to say August 5th because I'm very optimistic. We can cross out the 4th. Just got rid of the one whereas clause. The manner we engaged in education has changed because we're not going to do the hybrid.
Okay.
Getting to health and safety. Okay, what we do with parents and employees, conduct home health checks and all that, we're not going to bargain that. We're doing this. There's not, that I know of, there won't be temperature checks. Now, Monday, this may change, depending on Department of Health, but As we know, none of that is in play right now. Again, your former paragraph 2 dealt with Article 3.2 of the LCTA may visit. Still can do anything in the contract that we don't touch is in existence.
Okay.
And
Understood.
we will tell principals, you are not obviously visitors like the normal visitors that are barred.
And are you done with that one? Because I want to make sure I speak to that real quickly.
No other-
Number 1.
No. he's on
Yes,
number two.
yes.
So for example, in the contract, it just says notification of site. There have been occasions where, for example, at adult community ed, we would like for you to schedule an appointment and tell us in advance and all this. The contract only says you need to notify them when you come to the campus. It doesn't say you have to give them the advanced notice, but we will do everything like the email that was sent earlier that said we will be visiting school sites for the first 9 weeks, making sure that you knew that we were on campuses and that we will notify the site administrator when we're there. But, if we do not necessarily have that, like today I went by NIMS to speak with the principal, notified him, just thanking him for the work that we had done on the screening piece. And it was not a problem whatsoever. And so I talked to teachers and things like that. So I just want to make sure.
We will get the word out, and we will also, any conflict at all, quickly get to labor management, labor department, and we will again remind folks, because I think there's going to be a lot of stress the first week for everyone, but we will not make, you all will not have a problem. And if you do, we'll put that fire out. It's a non-issue, I hope. And if it is an issue, we will fix it. That's the intent, is to honor the current contract language. So the previous 3 is that the district will update and inform LCTA in writing is there for 48 hours, any changes. That's the current number 1. Current number 4 is now number 2. 5 is number 3.
And to speak to number 5, as we discussed yesterday, can you provide a timetable of when that information about how to submit information will be provided to instructional staff?
So we talked about that yesterday, and it talks about, and thank you for that reminder. We did talk about that yesterday. I think I have been contacted, or either Brett, someone reached out to you, but people are already doing it. If there's someone, you can direct them to call HR. I mean, if you really feel like an email, what I don't want to do
Is ask for
is,
issue.
because then if people really have an issue or concern, they've been reaching out, to be honest. And we've been working with them.
But you have the same protocol in place?
Yes.
Okay, so if they call us, we can say there is a
Sure,
protocol,
most
please
definitely,
contact.
most definitely. And we have people who have never done it before, that may be something new this year. They can always call. I've had a couple of new people reach out and say, tell me what the process is. We've walked several people through it.
We always have a protocol.
Yeah, yeah.
Even before COVID, we've always dealt with
Yeah.
these types of issues, so they just call.
If the situation changes, gets worse, and then someone hasn't made this phone call by, the first day of school, but makes it in the middle of September, the end of September, or as things develop, is that still apply?
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
So there's 2 different issues though.
There's no deadline.
There's not like, I think last year we were all like in a tizzy, right? Because it was so brand new. This year we're back in a tizzy, but the difference is we understand like.
Point
Okay,
to
I'm trying-
this year is so much better.
So much better.
20.2.0.
So what I was saying is, so say for instance, I'll give an example. Someone today was notified that they have got to do some type of treatment. We went through the process, explained, figured out how to move them over so that the principal could go ahead and hire potentially. Okay. There's no deadline on it. If a person wants to take a personal leave of absence, they follow the same protocol. Okay. What I will share with you for the good of the order is, if you're going to take a leave of absence or request a leave of absence, as an employee, you have a right to do that. What we're saying is don't ask for the leave of absence. We strongly recommend that you don't say, I need a leave of absence for 4 weeks. Because you want to see how the beginning of the year is going to start. And then you're going to make up your mind if you're going to. And let me tell you why. You can't hire someone for 4 weeks to do your job, right? And I always encourage people, I say either do a semester or do a year. You make the choice, but it's hard to hire someone for 18 weeks. Usually people are looking for a year-long position. So just like I wouldn't have someone come back and say, oh, now you're ready to come back to work, now you've lost your job. So we just have to be conscientious of that. But if there's ever a difficult situation or an we all got it. We will work through it.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
Number 6 dealt with a paid status, which we won't, we don't have authority to deal with paid status. Again, our students and our employees, when they're sick, they're going to be required to stay home. But that's common sense.
So since it is not a part of the MOU and number 6 starts off with symptomatic and COVID positive employees and students will be required to stay home, that you're saying that that isn't understood no matter what, that will happen.
Well, I mean, we're not bargaining as students, so we're going to tell students if you're sick, stay home. We always tell students that, I hope. And employees, through our guidance and policies, I think everybody knows if you're symptomatic or positive, stay home. That the union contract's not going to change their mind and go, now I got to stay home because it's in an MOU.
Well, the only reason why I speak to it is because Dr. Cox was shortening quarantines. Not their questions were about COVID-19 quarantines. It was, do you need a negative test to come back? Those types of things. And if we're not testing, we're not doing those things, then there's the possibility someone comes back COVID positive. So that's why we just need clarification on that part.
I have a question about funding.
I'm sorry. Please.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
I
Because she's on the team.
So what I need to do then is what I will do is Dr. Cox, because I asked for an updated as of today. So what I can do is we push back the meeting as it relates to how we're going to test. And so that I can definitely, we can figure this part out. I don't have all the answers to that.
I know Monday there's supposed to be something.
Yeah, so I'm trying to do something. So give me a second to work through that.
Sure.
Okay.
Okay, so
okay, if we want to say symptomatic or positive employees will be required to stay at home, I don't mind saying that, but it's just the obvious. But if we want to say the obvious, fine. We can take students out, but
So for right now, how would you all like to proceed? Do you want to leave it the way it is, crossed out, or do you want to do it, Leonard, just right?
well, that's what we have in number 4. We have
Yeah.
symptomatic. We just put symptomatic or COVID-19 positive employees and students will be required to stay home, period.
okay.
And the last sentence is the
Okay.
one, leave by, when you're waiting for your test results, you won't be in paid status.
So you just took out the last sentence.
Right, I got it.
You got that?
To 4.
I understand.
Okay.
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 I forgot we
I think,
kept
right?
that one sentence.
Yeah.
That helps.
And just to make sure that all hearts and minds are clear on what the request is the monies that would go to the COVID-19 leave that has been the MOU request needs to be taken to the board. And as was stated the last time we were together, it's our belief as the association that there are ESSER funds that could go towards that.
We are going to attempt to have an executive session faster than we've ever had one, and make the ask, your ask. And I'm not saying it's unreasonable. I'm not denying it because I think it's unreasonable. I just don't have the ability to say yes or no. So that's why I'm taking out cash items, even if they're eminently reasonable somewhere. I just can't do it until I get
Executive board.
3 out of 5 agreeing with me. Not agreeing with me, agreeing with you. Okay. Your 7R5 is pretty much accepted it, and I think we changed the
Mhm. We
website,
updated, mhm,
updated it.
yes.
That's refreshing. Legally says code, choosing board policies. All right, so we just, on your proposal AR6, we just took out new federal laws regarding COVID leave because there aren't any new, they all expired.
Right.
And according to the collective bargaining agreement,
Is there, for future consideration and MOUs, that it would then just, if an MOU is entered in, it would be recognized? So the fact that it's been canceled out, can we add back in memorandums of understanding? Not to say that,
it'd be in future, but you wouldn't do future. If any new memorandum would complement this, not
I
trump
just
it.
want to make sure.
Yes,
Not
it
not
would,
subtract.
it would trump it.
Okay.
We're adding to
No
the
pun
collective
intended.
bargaining agreement. We'll Biden it, whatever you want to use the word. It will, so an MOU will enhance your collective bargaining rights. And so you're right, you're not, if we agree today, it doesn't mean we outfoxed you and you waived your money. So I understand that.
Okay.
Because in the
And
past,
the only reason I say that is we had, just making sure so that everybody that's listening on the webinar understands. That's all.
and if I say it out loud, it's in our detailed minutes, then we're good.
Yep.
And we have too many live witnesses for me to get away with it. All right. It's been a long day.
It has been a super long day.
All right. The district will continue to provide liability insurance. That we're going ahead with that. Of course we will. Your faculty meetings will be conducted in accordance. That's where I'm just saying the collective bargaining agreement. We're not putting in may be held virtually. That could be subject to change.
Mhm.
Right now, it's not.
So case in point, we have a member of our team whose counterpart that they work with, Team Teach, was just sent home quarantine because their spouse has got COVID. And we have a bunch of students and parents with optional choices coming onto campuses tomorrow, which could eminently disrupt the beginning of the school year. And so the issue that we have is, without having the virtual option, we are opening ourselves up to disrupting the continuity of instruction.
Well, we also have the issue of if we say virtual, someone may demand virtual for everyone, and that may not be the desire of management. It may be the desire to get folks back socially distanced and in a faculty meeting.
Is there any way that we could put something in that, like for may change?
I think we could put a footnote on the entire MOU, subject hourly. I mean, this is all. I don't know. I can't. We have to go into this knowing this is rapidly changing, and we're trying to bargain with the best information we have today, which we know may be disproportionately changed Monday. Either way, I don't know which way.
We'll take it into consideration as we caucus and
Sure.
figure it out.
The whole 60% alcohol thing, we're just gonna say alcohol. Some are 60, some are 59. I'm not going there on what percentage of alcohol.
And we were gonna test all the bottles.
I know we all want real alcohol. I was gonna put Jack Daniels,
We can't do the tequila, the
whoa.
vodka stuff anymore.
yeah, right. Shots for everyone. Okay, the provided daily part we took out. We're gonna do the best we can with what supplies we have. I believe this will be forthcoming. Everyone make an individual demand on the site administrator. The site administrator, I've been told, they don't have a line item saying this is ours, but they do have funds in another category if we run low.
And we also know that staff have been told that they don't have the funds or that they're unwilling to spend it because they're not sure where their funds will be in other areas. So there is no guarantee that there will be those supplies, and there's a great concern.
This is
That's what.
Can you, and not right here,
Right now, but give us. yeah,
secondary schools.
Secondary.
so that's there, okay.
Middle and high or just high?
Hi,
Leon,
hi.
Okay.
We won't
I
tell
didn't
you.
have to
Give
do
me
that. I
your
thought it was red for egg. I mean, come on.
Yesterday and it's March, so.
Okay, all right, but it helped out today.
So you requested this, they said they're not gonna order?
They said that there's no budget for it, they're working on something.
Okay, we'll take care of
There's
that.
no budget.
We got it.
There's no
What?
supply.
You're at the same place.
Montfort too.
No supply.
Secondary.
Mumford as well.
But they're searching for something.
No,
He said that they
You have to
just.
change
have
his money,
money.
so you don't
Okay.
That's all I was checking.
Last year it was the track because of all the cares. This year it's in, I'll
We'll take care of it because he's over middle and so we'll take care of it, guys. And it helps us, and it's not a tattletale, it's just information, and it helps us be specific when we need to target that. So thank you.
They're looking for the line item, which they don't.
Yeah, there's not a line item they put into flex.
We-
Leon,
we'll
he said
do-
He's got a whole different situation.
Yeah, and he
As
said
far as
that there
dealing
was
with that.
no line item.
Yeah.
Right, that's what, he didn't understand where, I'll take care of that.
Yeah,
Okay, so
we
just
got it.
explanation, thank you.
Yeah, just explanation on the budget. It's there, it's just not like.
And do we have supplies to get started somewhat in the near future, Mr. Queen?
Sorry.
To get to supplies to get started in the near future, distributed to the schools, masks that were in the warehouse, things like that.
Well, right, yeah, I sent an email to the principals asking to inventory what they had from last year.
Okay.
They do have a bunch of stuff from last year. They didn't use all that from last year. And as whatever they need, they go through the same process they did pre-COVID, as far as ordering from Amazon, from the warehouse, because we can't afford to stock the warehouse with all these products. We just don't have the same amount of lots of money we had CARES dollars. With the schools, we have a lot of money in their flex accounts to be able to purchase those things as they did prior pre-COVID.
But the things that you're talking about, masks for teachers.
No, masks for students.
I think.
Yeah, if they go to the principal and let them know.
Yeah, we do have that, yeah.
Order
Well,
it,
the
yeah.
middle of high school, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
We took thousands of masks.
Yeah. we
Okay,
got
that's
masks.
what, masks were gonna be provided.
Yes,
One of the questions from the parents that have been coming through is, are you gonna provide the mask if you're gonna make it?
oh, I
You
think
know,
the
and
same.
we're like, okay,
They
Yeah,
have,
we
they have
masks
50 of them too.
Yeah.
so we wanna make sure that
Yes, of course.
all the schools are,
The
So
ones that are required for government.
with the request that you gave, is there a date certain for a response from site administrators that they need to respond to you by?
As needed. I mean, I can't, with 40 sites, so I mean, I'll have to wait for each individual to let me know that.
Yeah.
what they need.
I understand, but I guess the concern is if in the slew of emails and things that are coming through, there's a site administrator, which happens, people miss an email or something. They haven't done the inventory, they haven't responded to you. Hello, kids are here. So
Okay,
I
we'll make
guess
sure.
I'm just trying to make sure that there's a way that to get a confirmed receipt or that they respond by X date because it's gonna take this long to get the materials to the school. If they don't have them, is the.
I mean, Scott, I can guarantee we're not gonna have as much stuff as we had at school last year in 3 days.
that-
I can't guarantee you that.
I think you're talking about the mascot, right?
I'm just asking in terms of materials and everything, that if a school site is not, I guess what I'm trying to say is this is the feedback loop that we've been constantly kind of requesting of like, to get the information out is one thing, to get information back to confirm or to know where a site is.
So, okay, I see what you're saying. So what I think I can do is ask the directors, elementary and secondary, Scott Hansen, and then for Alan, I can have them send something out saying you have got to let us know by this date so that we can make sure the information is to Mr. McLean's section in order to make sure that it's there in a timely manner.
That's the.
Okay,
Just
you're
to
asking
make
for the,
sure-
okay, yeah,
what's
I
the
think that's what you're
process to
asking
make sure that
for.
we are set up to be successful getting it there in enough time. That's all.
Yep.
Okay. And then the other part was.
I already asked one, can I ask two?
I can ask
She's just.
If, so the other part was, you said that we don't have the CARES Act money, but you've got ESSER funds that are supposed to go to these things. And so I want to make sure that, I know they have, there's this idea that they're not going to be released or when they're going to be released in this, but you know, we did it last year where we did things and then waited to get reimbursed. So I'm trying to understand when it comes to this year.
It's just a miscommunication of verbiage.
Okay.
We don't have ESSER funds. We apply for ESSER funds.
Right.
So we make the ask, and in the meantime, we have to buy stuff. Like last year, we were forced to spend money because the CARES Act was ever so slow on getting here. And now it's a very recent webinar. Here's what we're going to allow you to spend and buy. You need a narrative for each category, and then we'll say whether your narrative is okay or not in each category, and then we'll release the funds. But for the stuff you're talking about, for hand sanitizers, all that, we have to buy right now. And we're not going to have an ESSER check and go to the store. It's going to be fund balanced, and then hope. I don't think it's a tough call.
We'll
We
give
will
the
get
stuff.
reimbursed.
We're
We're hoping it's not like
like.
FEMA where we're reimbursed in 10 years and when it's COVID 80. So that's our hope. We don't have, people think we're sitting on millions.
Yeah, Zeta.
Yeah, COVID Zeta. We're not sitting on millions. We were allotted an amount that's the DOE will give us if we play the right rules perfectly. And facilities is on top of the list for everyone in every district, and hygiene, and that's how we did fairly well, and everyone did well by doing that. So we will get, and then when there's a response, we don't have money, just let us know. We'll correct that. Maybe true, we don't have money, but we'll get money. And we'll get the supplies.
We'll get it done. Definitely.
We're not gonna, the goal, we're not gonna want teachers to buy that stuff,
No,
which I know is your goal.
Right.
Not buy masks for Johnny who can't afford a mask or hand sanitizer or whatever. That's our goal too. Okay, year 13 and 14, we feel like is dealt with in your prior 11, where we agree to apply all adequate staffing, equipment, supplies, support hygiene, behaviors, personnel protective equipment, and all that. We think that's all in there instead of specializing all this.
So
And we still have all that stuff, by the way. Not much of it was used.
in terms of what is available, because sometimes people don't know what they can request, how does that,
Is there a list?
a list
Of
of
stuff
what
that you
is
have.
available if someone wants to request it?
We've been kind of doing it on a case by case basis. We've had some teachers, for example, like cheer, I'm not sure, all the child teachers have shields on this. That was something that the principal went to this parent, and the teachers asked what they want, that's what they had. So it's kind of done by school. On the rigorous teachers didn't want that, so they didn't buy it. However, it's part of the instructional part that we're doing. We are going to buy those shields for those teachers at rigorous. So again, it depends on the school what the ask are for the teachers.
I think our point of clarification was what materials you already have.
yeah, like they want to know, do you already have the gel, the buckets, the rags?
It's hard.
Like,
for them
what
to
do they
what
know
to
that you have?
request.
warehouse.
Yes.
Yes.
We have 2,846 bottles of, containers of disinfectant.
Say it again, 3,000.
3,846 containers of wipes. We have 1,999 bottles of Lysol. We have 693 containers of hand sanitizer. 82 cases of ibuprofens. We have 153 containers of Zep disinfectant in the gallon. We have 292 containers of the quart size bottles of Zep spray bottles. 5 gallons of bleach. Let's see.
I must listen to detail.
And 832 containers of gloves in a pack. And those are medium size. Small size, we have 150 cases. The foam sanitizer in the right can we gave out. We have 262 cans of those. And 820 boxes or cases of large gloves and 340 cases of alcohol.
So I kind of goes back to then now that we know what they have.
So each bookkeeper has it. Mr. Hanson just said all bookkeepers have it. So what they teach, what I would recommend is that you all share that there are supplies that are in the warehouse. Please reach out to your administration and bookkeeper to find out your school's process to ordering those materials if needed.
How do y'all order paper, pencils? How do you order all that in the past? With the principals at the school? Don't most of you have a supply list you turn in every year to get from
Which is a
warehouse?
wish list.
Yeah, but don't they usually, same thing, just add on the other products that you need?
Yeah.
The face mask, I mean, that's normal. at every
We haven't
school.
done that in 2 years.
Yeah, there hasn't
Right,
been.
but what you did previously in 2019 is what we're saying is the way it works. So if you used to order materials, we're doing the same thing
I
now.
would just make sure you're.
I understand.
Don't they
Well,
need to be the
we'll
ones to initiate that?
The teachers, because a lot of teachers
We
have,
wouldn't know to ask for a form that.
It's a managerial, right?
initiates something on the
So
warehouse.
it's managerial's job.
Yeah,
So
somebody else.
just
So
making
I
sure.
would like hear him saying,
There you go.
I guess that's what we're, like, prime example, we bought, how many of those specialized respirator type?
yeah, we're not doing,
Uh-huh.
No, I'm just using that as an example.
right.
We spent thousands of dollars on those special masks. They weren't used. We still got
They
several
were
in the
used
warehouse
consistently. They were used at our school.
at your school,
Yes.
but not at all
Yes,
the
Patty.
schools that were
Let's see.
requested of them.
Patty.
I requested one.
They were used at my school because I personally have
So
them
we
out.
have-
and There
I
weren't
have
enough.
20 of them in my office right now.
So
No one has never made a request of you for.
but here's where, again, the communication piece is key, because when it goes through the telephone piece, it doesn't get to you. So even though Sarah did request one, it fell on deaf ears, it stopped somewhere, it didn't get to you, even though they were available.
Right.
So what we want to make sure is that there is a managerial system
Yeah,
to
so we
ensure
can make
that
sure that
things
we.
get
Process.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's fine. We can definitely reach out to our directors to say, please, you have to let them know what it is that their schools are in need of.
A question, do you say you have wipes in the warehouse? Go ahead.
The same big bucket of wipes that a lot of, so
It's a 85.
The Lysol, you know, the
And the Lysol kind.
the Lysol ones where you,
So I know this may be off the wall, however,
You want
you
some?
know, don't laugh. But here's the thing. As a teacher, well, not my school, but as a teacher, it may get down, it may trickle, because Rodney's great, it may trickle down to the director, may trickle down to the person, but if somewhere down the line, you cannot get it, is there like, wouldn't it be easy solution to just say, these items are, like a mass email to all the teachers, say, these are the items that are available in the warehouse, if you are in need, please direct your questions to X person at the school. Instead of like us telling the school, I think it should be the district's responsibility.
oh, how it's shared, what's there.
Yeah.
Let us work with Rod on that.
Like if Ronnie just puts a list
Is
of
that-
items.
So with that, If you go to the warehouse and property management website, all that information is listed there.
You're telling me this, which I know that, but I think if there's just a way, like just a mass email saying, hey, these are items that are available at the warehouse, for cleaning in the
Send
spirit,
it to the teachers or send it to the school?
send it to the teacher.
Or we could do individual public records requests for a list. I'm just kidding.
You want us to what?
I'm kidding. We
Who should
will.
we send that to?
Okay, what I'm hearing, we have a system breakdown.
Yeah, we
of
can work on that.
User and
But the book-
supplies.
Communication issues?
Like,
No.
We did.
Yeah, but the book report, like, let's say,
Yes.
school A's book report is the boss, and we know what's available, and communications like your team, not sexist. And school B, it's like, you don't know when you are you complain. Does that make sense? You see, so like you may be doing your job as in
With
good
TV
faith, and somebody else's personality may be like, oh, well, she hasn't complained, so why should I order? And if you don't know it exists, like, like there's a lot of little trinkets for EFC. If I didn't know they existed,
Should I
I'm
give her
not
the link?
asking for things that I didn't even know existed or available. So communication is the deal.
Well,
Does that make sense?
Yes, it does, my
That's
dear.
easy but I think
Now we need to
teachers
just pull it.
skip all the middle.
She didn't get the look.
Well, that's why-
Scott, put your team together.
we'll give you,
I understand,
we'll give you a
but that's why we
facilities
have
debit card
26.
where you
Huh?
can just go on.
That's why we have
Amazon.
26 about a Leon County Schools centralized tracking.
So we will, okay, so I hear it, there's a breakdown, there's some schools, you all are so well represented. I know, I'm just saying, some schools are not getting it, it's not all schools, we just need to make sure that our message is consistent and everybody has the same access.
Correct.
Okay, so I hear what you're saying, our office can work with Mr. McQueen and the directors to make sure that teachers have adequate supplies.
And maybe a form will be developed.
And submitted.
Maybe a website?
No. Let's not get carried
All the
away
emails go to Ron?
All of them will go to Ron.
with
I'll
stuff.
give you his cell number, he can text it.
No, if any questions, please contact your local union rep.
Right, okay, so we'll work on that and be able to feed and provide that information back to you, how we plan on disseminating that so that everybody has the same access. Okay,
Bill had a good point. One of my questions, if you can't get it through the teacher, we'll keep one out of the union rep.
oh, supplement pay, oh my God, would you please?
Well, I mean, we will take on the responsibility to
No.
get out as a
No,
stipend.
we got it, we
No,
got
it
it.
was a
We'll
joke.
talk.
It was a joke.
It was a
No,
joke.
No.
Ron is
No.
laughing.
I think that was a phenomenal idea.
no.
It'll be part of our proposal.
No.
Okay,
That's all you.
yes, you get 47% back.
All right, my bad for letting this go awry.
Yeah.
There you go.
fine, what is that?
It started at the alcohol and went downhill.
Mhm.
All right. So on year 15 is now R11. The district shall establish clear and clearly communicated procedures for who will need to wear a face mask. And again, this is a developing issue. That it won't be a policy, but it'll be a procedure. We'll have to clearly communicate it probably tomorrow.
All right.
I think the state's meeting tomorrow.
Mhm.
And so we may have a different answer tomorrow afternoon. All right.
Okay, what number are we?
We're 16 and 12.
So yeah, stay tuned.
Well, 16 that was deleted, 17, and then
Husband,
on the 12 on your page, which is 20. But I'd like to get the responses for 16 through
okay.
19.
Okay, we're not this year going to bargain how often we are going to clean. We have a bargaining unit that is required to work, and we will order them to work and clean. And increased routine cleaning, I don't know what increased routine cleaning means. When I went back and read our last year's thing, I said, we did this in haste. We really don't bargain cleaning. we have a line in the contract, we will provide a safe such and such environment. You'll remind us at a particular school that falls below the standard of care that you're used to. Right?
Well, we'd have to hit that standard of care first sometimes, depending upon the site. So I guess my question is, if we're not going to necessarily be worrying about what is a mitigating strategy.
No, we are worrying about it. That's our job to worry about it, not to bargain it.
Right.
We're not gonna be grieved on, this wasn't increased, or it wasn't routine cleaning, or a lot of these words, deep cleaning didn't occur, just regular cleaning occurred. A lot of this is not, it's not negotiable. We negotiated a lot last year for various reasons. But I think we understand what should and will happen. We weren't grieved on this, even though a lot of this felt good to read.
One of the things with the cleaning is it is a working condition that our classrooms are going to be deep cleaned, especially in a hazardous case.
In every district I go to, what does deep clean mean to you? Some districts, deep clean means
My school is perfect.
hang on, when there's a COVID issue, there's a strike force that deep cleans a classroom. So I think some people believe deep cleaning means more than the janitor vacuuming or cleaning the floor, emptying the trash.
Tell me when that occurs at every school, every single day.
My janitor was never informed when I had a COVID positive case in my room. And that was something that I would tell him, but nobody, if I wasn't there at the end of the day when he came through my room, he would have had no idea that little Johnny sitting in seat 4 was COVID positive, and maybe that's something that we can push through administrative.
Yeah.
They need to talk to the custodians and tell them room 215, the 6 other classes he had that day
Fair.
had a COVID positive student.
Or-
Fair, like,
Or-
that's what we don't know, and I wish you had said something during the year, because that, we definitely, anytime we were notified, because a lot of people get
Yeah.
confused with me and Alan Cox. I don't know, for some reason, we would work
So
on it.
just hear it, Leon.
Even, okay, one of the things was that every classroom was supposed to be wiped out daily. Didn't have. Didn't have. Handles and doorknobs and rails supposed to, there were SGA students that would volunteer during their SGA class. Then they go around and just,
Okay.
but so little things like that, like.
Can you all email me if there was a huge thing, because then I can work with Mr. McLean. Because we do have to hold people accountable, but if we don't know about it,
But it was addressed this year that there's gonna be some improvement with.
okay, because you do have a new administrator, right, I get it.
So it was addressed, so we had a chance to see the changes.
Okay, that's fair enough, I appreciate you saying that.
It's it was a little difficult sitting in meetings. So Sarah's, our school's very clean. The floors are mopped every day. The chairs are cleaned. My janitor walked in and washed my desk and my chairs and my floor and the door handles to every door going in and out of buildings. And I mean, it was amazing, top notch. Sitting in a rep meeting, trying to describe that to what I was
I hear what you're
experiencing.
saying.
So they were like, what? I didn't even get my trash taken out all week. You know, and you're like,
What, we have custodians?
cleaning, can we just have,
Okay.
that's why we want.
But if you all would tell, I mean, like, if you are, and I don't want you to do it now live, okay, this is not a shaming. But if you were to say to me, name the 6 schools, or name, it helps us. Saying, because that's not the case everywhere, and I know you all are on the team, right? So 2 from Leon, 1 from Cobb, we have a couple people from Raw, but everybody's experiences are different. But if you would make a master list and just give it to me, then I could work with Mr. McQueen and say, help us here. I can work with them and say, look, your buildings, that's part of the evaluation of school administration, is the cleanliness. But we don't know it until we get to the table and you all go, all year long, my trash wasn't taken out. There were things that we put in place that we thought were working, but if you all don't speak up and say they're not, and I know there was a lot going on in trying to manage that, we got it. Your school is different. I don't even, wrong.
I will tell you though
depended on
that
if
we
it was
had
staff
those
or-
conversations in the past.
Say it again?
We've had those conversations, and there are places where when teachers go to their site administrators, and I'll just give you some examples. Tell us when they're not doing it is what the AP wants, rather than a managerial right of monitoring what's supposed to be happening. So the
Right.
teacher then ends up having to be the person, rather than as an association in charge dealing with those things. But what we will tell you is this: we will work with every one of our building representatives, and we will make sure that during our labor relations meetings each month, that there is a list, and if it is.
So you can say,
something
and I can definitely work with Mr. McLean, the director. Yes, that would help me.
But if it has to be done faster, we'll just call, but for the most part, we'll provide those
Yeah.
lists and make sure that you're aware.
We'll just do kind of like a little, how's everything going?
Spot check, yeah, and I have no problem with that, but I just, not knowing now that all last year, I wish I had known last year.
One of those things where you know,
There's too much going on, I
well,
get it.
not even that, what was the privacy rights on who was supposed to know who was COVID positive and who wasn't? And I mean, I said something for my personal cleanliness. I mean, obviously, this student doesn't know who the student is.
Right.
You know, student C4, it is what it is. But who was allowed to know that or not know that?
So that was, maybe
needs to
that,
be clarified.
okay,
Is, hey, you know what, it doesn't matter what the student's name is, but there was somebody in this room this
Okay.
day.
okay, fair enough, thank you. Let's go.
You're also the social distancing and the hazard pay, we're not gonna be able to deal with that.
When you say not gonna be able to deal with that, not gonna be able to deal with that until you talk to the school board, or not gonna be able to deal with that?
The hazard pay, we don't have authority for hazard pay. Classrooms and workspaces will be adjusted as much as possible to encourage social distancing. Again, I don't know that we can bargain social distancing. Every teacher's gonna set up their classroom how they can, like they always do. Classrooms and workspace where social distancing is not possible per CC. Is that almost everywhere? Classroom and workspace where social distancing is not possible per CDC. Employees shall receive hazard pay. So that would be everyone would get hazard pay, because you can't have 6 foot amongst everyone. See what I mean? You can't comply with that.
Okay, so I guess Kimmy speaks to it next, but there's only 4 things we do to mitigate the impact. Social distance, which now we're saying we're not gonna be able to do.
No, I'm not saying we're not gonna be able to do it. I'm saying realistically, did we do it last year? 6 foot between every student,
No, we tried.
But everybody wore masks too.
right?
There was an honest attempt before.
And had days off.
Right.
And there was fewer kids in the
Like
class.
9 weeks, if they
Right.
the students came back, I'd say the first 9 weeks.
There was a third less kids, right?
Yeah.
Almost 50% started digital.
Right, but by the end, there was about a third, so we're used to about a third. And- So I mean, I can't,
We saw the emails from Charles every day.
They had 17, they had 75%, between 65 and 70% of the students.
And
And
75%
they had a
not
lot of
COVID. I think I got an email every day.
I do have districts at 95% brick and mortar that did not have issues. It's just, you can't explain why and where, you just can't. You just can't. But would we like every effort we made to encourage social distancing? It's gonna be the teacher who moves the desk around, the stuff around, gets rid of the seat. I don't know.
That's a space issue.
That's
That's not a
not-
teacher. It's not-
That's what I mean. We can't give more
We can't.
space.
Yeah.
So,
Every space is different, every school is
Absolutely,
different.
yeah. But I don't think it's fair to say it's up to the teacher to provide this spacing, because we can.
right, and we can't either. We don't
Yeah.
have additional rooms for you to teach in 2 rooms. If you
Right.
have 25 kids. Do you see what I mean? Every teacher would get hazard pay under your proposal. If we had a
Because they're
So
normal,
you're
hazardous
putting,
conditions.
you're putting every teacher in a hazardous condition.
no, you're saying it's hazardous, so we're calling it teaching. It's gone on all last year. People did this in many
With the
districts.
mitigating factors in place.
No, I have some with no mitigating factors in place. No masks.
In other districts.
That's
Yes.
only one
We're
thing.
talking about our district that we're bargaining for.
Right.
We've had mask and mandates in place.
Okay,
We were socially distancing with our half of our kids at home, half the kids in. We
Right.
were,
so, okay, give me,
were
if you
taking
give,
consideration that
okay.
things were deep.
how do we?
We had plenty of
Okay,
supplies.
how do we social distance with, say, 23 kids? Tell me how, does your classroom allow that, yes or no?
And we know that it doesn't, so that's why we're saying people are being put into conditions that are hazardous, and that's why that was in there. So the point is,
So you want them all to be getting hazard pay, and that's telling them they're going in a hazardous environment. I wouldn't say that to them. That's a wrong message.
well, just like compensatory time, if you want to call it something else, we're open to that.
No, it's not the word hazardous. It's just plenty of people have done this last year. Have done this.
You keep comparing last year. I've heard it several times.
We only have 1 year, thankfully, to compare
School
to.
board meetings, but let me make the point when I say that. I'm talking about masks. We were able to at least get a little bit of distance because we did not have, and I don't know why people have forgotten that we did not have as many students in our classrooms last year. And the ones that were there, in some cases, we could spread them out.
And now we have
This year,
vaccines.
we do not have that flexibility. I have a class where I have 25 students, it's no way.
But now we have vaccines that most people believe work. Of course, vaccines are now subject to political science. I understand that. I'm not going to argue whether vaccine is real or not. But that is the best mitigation ever. If you look at any stat, is a vaccine. Whether you get one, that's up to you. Better than a mask. So anyhow, I don't know how we can bargain this to socially distance. Are you talking 6 feet perfectly per CDC? Right?
The
3
things-
feet now? 3 feet.
3.
Okay.
But we have classes, for example, that have gone into smaller rooms because the teacher moved, but still has 30 students in that class. Other classes where there's 35. I mean, the reality is, I mean, it's as if we want to operate as if nothing's going on. And what we're saying is there are still.
We are ordered to provide education brick and mortar by the state. We have to do it.
Right. And we're not against that part.
Right.
Say if we look at the numbers in some classes, and maybe it's more classes than others, pre-COVID, so the normal school year we had before COVID, or maybe going into COVID, let's say classes were X size. COVID year happened, classes got smaller in person because we're home. Now we're coming back, COVID's still happening, and class sizes are even larger than they were when we left pre-COVID in a lot of places and a lot of schools across a lot of programs. And so we're maybe not, respecting is probably not the right word, but we're not taking that into consideration when we're building our class loads, because we're not going back to the 25 kids in a class, we're going back to 35 kids in a class, because last year we kind of allowed it to happen because so many were at home. So we were able to build bigger sections, and we've kept that still happening today, except now they're all sitting in front of us. And so it's not maybe a matter of hazard here, whatever, is it a class size establishment? Is it looking at the overall load of what's going on and being like, whoa, pre-COVID, that class was only capping at 25 and now we're capping it at 32. Where the difference went there.
So if funding for the hazard pay is something that is prohibitive, then is it hiring more instructional staff to reduce class size so that there are not 35 in a classroom?
I have read recently there is a teacher shortage. It's
And
pretty
there's gonna
hard.
be even more.
No, I mean, so hiring new folks to help out is, I mean, I think we're starting Monday. So,
Wednesday.
okay, it's really hard to find teachers just to staff. So hiring extra teachers is not the solution. Well, I don't know if it's a solution to social distance because we got to put them somewhere in classrooms that we may not have.
Well, it is, regardless of social distancing, it is probably a better practice when you're trying to get instructional, you know, to all the students. I mean, it's a load for a number of these high school teachers that have 35 in a classroom and they've got 6 sections. And the only other way to go ahead and make it so that you can meet the student needs, get to know the students, be able to engage them, is to reduce the classes.
Right. And we are currently, we have several vacancies. We are advertising for Leon County school teachers today. We've
In the new school year, we've advertised 570 plus in this year.
For this year? And is that more than a typical year before COVID?
I don't have the numbers prior, but it's
So earlier this year, the staffing plans were provided based on what it looked like. Is there a comparison as to the staffing plan as to what the current hires are at each school site that could be cross-referenced for us?
We have to wait for the students to come in. to see
Yeah.
Exactly how many people are gonna be in school before we look at staffing again. Because we're not sure of the number of.
It's not so much about the students coming in and changing staffing, it's here's the staffing plan, which was provided. And then is that where the staffing is at the school site? Because we know that sometimes the reason why these issues occur is because there's conversion of positions that could help reduce class size. And
if
principal
there's
discretion.
if there's a class size issue, we get fined. So we try to avoid it because Department of Education frowns on it regardless of COVID.
That's only in certain sections though.
Mhm.
And that's average. That's not perfect.
And so
I understand. We
class of 7 in ESC self-contained, it's used to offset what is going on in all the others.
I understand. We're not going to bargain CDC on anything because the CDC changes like the wind. We can say we'll make every effort to social distance. I don't know what that will mean. And we meaning,
Does anyone here have electronic copy of this?
yes,
So we can go ahead and add that back in.
yes.
Well, let me ask this, we can definitely do that now, but there seems to be some pieces that we still have to go back on. So we can make the change, but we don't have access to print it. Does that make sense? So we can write the changes in now, but I mean, you all want to keep going through it is what I'm saying.
Let's keep moving through the
Okay.
document, and then with the changes that we talked about can be made and they can be printed and
We're
signed.
at a school, I'm sure we can find them.
But it's after hours. There's nobody in the office.
So I don't have anything here.
I'll run over to Ace and print if you need to. They're open till
She's
9.
got connections.
So I mean, why would we print it out today if we're not finished? Is what I'm saying.
If you're gonna sign it.
Okay,
So they're optimistic, so am I.
me too.
Okay.
Somewhat.
Okay, so
Okay, you had districts will adhere to student contact time, outline CBA. If it's outlined CBA, we'll do it. If we won't, I promise you'll remind us following agreements.
I just want to point out that number 8 is faculty meetings will be conducted in accordance with Article 7.05 of the CBA, and it's still in the MOE.
Hang on. Well, that's because we knew you wanted it.
I'm just saying.
No, I know. We can take it out. That's something we know everyone wants to read about faculty meetings.
Oh,
I'll get rid of it.
No,
To
you
be
can
consistent.
leave it because there's gonna be some virtual components in that comment.
Okay, what number?
Number 21, which is 13.
Which is what?
13.
Okay.
So we're not gonna punish you.
That's the COVID leave.
13 is bargaining units shall not be disciplined or held responsible for reasonable enforcement of safety protocols. If a parent or student gets sideways, we will not punish you. That's what that means to me.
Okay.
So that was our language last year. We're agreeing with it.
If he's saying they're not gonna be disciplined or held responsible. They're not gonna adverse consequences.
Relating to like
I mean,
classroom
if the kids aren't
arrangements.
wearing it, they're able to opt out.
And
He gets
if
adversely
masks are
affecting
still
us.
optional,
'Cause then my son's home
wanting
sick.
to advise teachers at my school appropriately and, with admin, of course, in collaboration. I've heard of some teachers who were going to kind of mandate in their own classroom that all the kids wear masks. And I looked into that, and shared with people it was necessary to say, you can't go, above what superintendent says or the state statute or anything, but I know at some recent school board meetings, there was a lot of talk about like discrimination and like segregation and separating vaccinated or unvaccinated or students with masks and not wearing masks. Would a teacher, with what we've got in place in this proposed MOU, and I think it kind of relates to item 13 here, if a teacher within their classroom wanted to make their seating chart, so like the masked kids were in one area and the unmasked kids are in another area, would they be protected in doing that in their classroom? Because they make seating charts all the time,
Yeah, that's not,
so they couldn't do that.
I know elementary it seems organized, like elementary teachers are really organized. You all said that you can't do that.
Can't do
Okay.
that. With masks, kids with masks.
Mhm.
Thank you.
I don't know.
No way.
now
Face
what,
coverings in Title IX?
No, I'm just.
What- what,
Whoa.
what people
When did
will,
that happen?
what?
Supreme Court, when did that change? Discrimination, when did face coverings become discrimination?
When did? Everything is. All right, let's go. This was last year's. We're giving you last year's. We're giving you last year's because we're givers.
Yeah.
We're givers.
We're lovers.
Let's go to learners. Learning,
Put my mask back.
learning, the district has chosen Canvas as the appropriate learning platform. That's meaningful.
Is in terms of the ones that were crossed out though.
Okay, number 22, we have it in the bargaining agreement.
Correct.
We're not doing hazard pay.
But the splitting of classes in
Okay.
elementary is an issue because what will happen is, like you said, you can't hire somebody for 18 days, but you also can't get a substitute for 3 hours. And
Or
so,
for a day.
for a day
Let's be honest,
sometimes.
We're having our time every
And-
day substitute.
And we can't control when people call in and there's no sub. I mean, I don't even know how we had this language last year, but this is kind of out of both of our controls. When a colleague calls in and there's no sub,
okay, but the
can't-
issue is that
we know the
one,
issue's still
again,
there.
the budget piece that's managed at the site, that there's choices that are made sometimes that, oh, it's too late, we can't get sub. But, so the thing is, the perception of teachers is not always that there isn't possibly a sub that's there, it's just that we have no money for sub budget. I'm not sure if anyone heard that last year. No money for sub budget, no
Well,
subs.
depending on what time of the year. In the beginning of the year, there should be money for sub budgets.
But it doesn't matter how much money there is, There are no subs, and I'm at a nice.
I know,
school.
that's why I agree.
There are
The
no
the
subs.
subpopulation has said, thanks, but no thanks. Our reliable subs
So I know
are like,
2 classrooms from October.
and so no matter what we do, if we don't get subs, we're stuck. So, and if we have run out of paras, we're stuck. And if we, I don't know what we do.
Okay, so how about this then? When the sub is not provided, we construct some language that says the teachers will get the sub money.
She likes that.
Well,
She's willing to accept that.
It,
We had it.
it was intended for the purpose of covering those classes, and now you have the teacher taking on the additional responsibility, so the money should go to them.
Okay.
Money's already there.
It should come out of the teacher's pay, if she's leaving,
Huh? Say it again?
because she should request an hour leave, so that, right, that leave money should go to that person.
They're just saying, well, if the person's asking for leave to cover the person who's taking covering them, it's almost like,
Yeah, you could go anyway with it.
You could take leave so that she can make money, theoretically.
We already have leave
But
built
it's-
into our
but it's
contract.
I know,
already
I know.
mine. Does that make sense? It's my choice to take the leave.
Well,
Somebody should cover my classroom fee. That should be sub money, and which is already allocated for me to my facilities. So that money's there.
CB.
The only people that are suffering are the kids and the other and my professional peer who's helping to cover my costs with no compensation. So I mean, it is fair that the sub money be provided to the person who is subbing that class. That doesn't hurt the county because it's already set.
There you go.
The money's already provided.
It's an incentive to
aside for
stay.
subs, so it should be given to the person who's actually subbing the class. It's not gonna
understood,
be me.
understood. Put it in the money MOU.
Okay.
There's gonna be a money MOU, I predict. One's gonna be COVID leave, two's gonna be sub pay for X conditions.
Hazard pay.
Not hazard pay, I don't like that word. Extreme risk.
We're always essential.
So our police officers, they get a nice package.
Such an ingenious way.
In 24, all orientation open house will be conducted virtually. So far, no. Now, this could
Do we
change.
have consistency between at least the secondaries? Meaning, are all high schools in person? Are all middle schools in person? Are there some that are doing virtual, some that are not?
The only one I know of, K-8, because it was elementary, they, I think, fourth grade did virtually.
and I
All
think
the rest
so.
are doing it in person, middle schools and high schools.
For orientation, my school just changed from in-person to virtual.
Yeah, I know some elementaries did, they,
Yeah, I don't know about elementary, I know, I'm saying secondary,
Secondary.
I'm over secondary, so. The secondary, that,
He
the
just
only
misspoke.
K-8, maybe Woodville also. Because they
There's no
fell
reason
over
to
there.
give
It's
their
okay.
teachers the option.
Right, I know they broke them all up at most schools in elementary to be smaller groups, some of the middle schools are doing
Yeah, they
that,
changed
smaller
it. I
groups.
think
because
Billy
they get-
did.
Right, alpha.
Billy did alpha, yeah, Billy Millard, Buck Lake did alpha order.
But I guess the issue is that if we do all of them, there's equity. Right now, you have disparate treatment between employees at different sites because it's being done differently.
Like everything
Right,
But,
that you remind us daily of.
and we want to create some continuity. And
Right.
all the middle schools and high schools, other than the K-8, are doing in person.
Were teachers given an input
I'm not sure.
into the decision because orientation is great. However, with the tides turning, the changes happening, it just would have been nice to have just a say in, whether or not virtual or, because orientation is very quick, it's very mainstream, they come in, they come out, so we're not doing any instruction at that time. So it just would have been nice to have just a little bit of, because some teachers are just up in arms about it, I can just tell you that.
We understand a lot of this.
I'm gonna wear a gown tomorrow and a full mask. With gloves.
Nobody, I promise you, nobody will be happy for a long time. Because everyone has a personal story. I've got them, everyone's got them. I have the pleasure of going to numerous districts where there's real life tragedies and everyone's stuck trying to teach, trying to do stuff in this environment. And we're joking, but I'm not always laughing. This is very stressful all day long. I'm getting like 911 calls from little towns that have no resources. They don't have they don't have a warehouse. They don't have anything, some towns. And they don't have people they're not coordinated enough to know how to spend the money. So it's really stressful. We're doing the best we can. We would like input all the time. This train moved again from no COVID in June to a little bit of discussion of a new variant to all out war in a week, 2 weeks. And
So could we go ahead and maybe, because obviously orientation is tomorrow and next week for some. But is there a way that we could put in there that open house will be held virtually so that we,
I don't
why?
know, because it's
It's already been happening and it's already been publicized. That all the schools-
Open house?
But it was publicized that it was gonna happen.
Right, open house.
Open house.
Open house. We're saying orientation is already happening. We can't change the
Okay.
boat
Yeah.
from happening, but we can steer it to
I
go
wouldn't
away.
put that in there right now until I see where we're at, because they're not until September.
But if we do it
no.
now,
no,
Then
we're-
we can-
then that's gonna make
Correct.
everyone have to be virtual. At that point, it may be a whole different world.
we will
Take it under.
we'll take a
Right.
pass on that
Right.
and bring it, yes, bring it up.
Yeah, we definitely can have a discussion, but it
If
can't
this
be-
is a big issue, put it in your money issue that we'll table it. Put it in
We're at
your,
this
put it in your
situation,
next MOU.
We'll see where we're at.
Because it is a management right, but it is also everybody's concern.
Yeah.
And I understand
Yeah.
the concern both as a parent and everything else.
The only thing that I'd make sure is that, as you said, communication wise, if there's gonna be a decision, the decision has to be made in enough time to effectively communicate with families and school sites and all that other stuff. So,
We hear you.
just making sure that we're not kicking the can too far down to where it's like,
too late.
it's too late,
Yeah.
we can't do
Yeah,
it.
No, no,
And
I agree.
truthfully, parent conferences are much more efficient than the open house.
I'll tell you, parent conferences have been amazing and attendance has been so much more because it's held virtually. And parents can, oh yeah, I can step
Oh,
away
yeah,
from
they
my,
like that.
in 30 minutes, I can step away and do a
They can
conference.
pick this up anywhere.
Right. And so
So we'll take that under advisement.
open house
Seriously.
people liked because they were at home with their kids and they could go, hey, let's zoom on. Let's talk to all your teachers.
Or.
Okay.
It's not a super sacrifice as parents. It's good. We're not that.
Okay, we had Leon County Schools implement all CDC mitigating strategies. Well, again, we can't agree to anything CDC, period. For liability reasons, for every reason, we are going to do the best we can with what we have 24/7. If you see a safety issue, let us know. We will do the right thing when we know about it. And if you believe that's wrong, then we'll get to someone else, go above someone else, and we'll still try to get it right.
So I guess that goes back to number 26 then, that in order, like this whole see something, say something, what is the, I guess, the pushback or the concern of creating a centralized way for everyone to know this is who you contact if you see something?
Because we don't, this is, the only way I can say it is every school manages this differently.
That's part of
Everyone
the
has
problem.
contact. Well, you think it's your problem, but superintendent doesn't. He is a site-based person, and that's what he ran on, that's what he won on. And I know you want one person or one way of work, but we don't have that. We will provide guidance, so hopefully we have consistency. But we're not gonna have a 411 number to track health, safety, service desk. We're just not.
So which one of those two systems would most likely prevent those tragedies you were just talking about in other districts?
Which one of what?
A centralized system that everyone knew who to contact, or
I think
where
everyone knows how to contact the person in their building. They should. They're teachers, they're adults.
but the same way materials didn't get to or requests
Okay.
is part of the issue.
Then you have to, okay, if she didn't get it, obviously she could have went farther if, I mean, when I want something, damn it, I get it. Do you know what I mean? It's
So do
you,
I.
It's a
you
little
get
bit
it.
harder for annual contract teachers.
I've heard that annual contract teacher. We need teachers so bad. We'll coddle probationary teachers. We need teachers. We're 50 plus down. We need teachers. So there's no,
With that particular
It could be a
example,
one
I was told that those were first to go to ESE teachers. And since I'm an SLP, that SLPs were lower on the totem pole. And that if they had enough after they distributed them to ESE teachers, maybe SLPs could get some. So that's why I didn't follow up, because I
Okay.
can be pretty persistent too.
and we have a lot of extras. We have a lot of extras. So there was a
Yeah, you're right. Yes. Bargaining, that the president goes, but
Yeah, I'm like.
that group was not considered in the request.
Do it here.
So,
Sort of emoji, sort of
Leonard,
special.
Leonard, we're gonna request.
deals
a
with
call
the ESG,
just
yeah.
for 5 minutes. So. I'm gonna take that off for a second. At this time, and I understand what you've shared, you have to do an emergency executive order and everything. However, there seems to be, like in the summer, where there was the summer pay for COVID and for the recovery of learning lost, additional monies, that every time monies come up, it's something where we have to go talk. In the contract, it says both parties need to be clothed with the ability to negotiate right then and there with the things that are being discussed so that we can come to an agreement. Is there somebody in this room on the other side that is clothed with the ability to deal with the monies?
yes, I can tell you the answer is no then. If you want to play technical, the answer is no. I wouldn't have come today if you want to play technical. I'm trying to be honest with you. If you give us a last second proposal, we can't give you every answer. We're giving you 80% of your answers.
But in those.
So you're closed
proposals-
for asking for money. That's very easy. I'm not closed to give money away without meeting the board. You know there's technicalities. So the answer is no until I get my authority because of this quick nature you gave us this document.
So was it quick nature when we asked to deal with compression and leapfrogging, and it was said in January that we don't want to deal with it because it's a bargaining chip, and so we'll hang on to it? Was that too quick of a response?
That's a totally
If
different.
you want to be a smart ass, Scott, I'm leaving. All right? Do you want to be? I can be so petty if you want to be petty. I'm very good at it.
Okay. It's your choice.
Okay, I'll stay, but I'm not addressing that last comment at all. So where do you want to go? What's your ask?
Who has the authority to sign off on financial agreement?
Who has the authority to sign off on financial agreements? Me.
Okay. With that being said, why are we having to wait for negotiating financial?
Because you
Be in
gave
front of
us
a board.
something at the last minute.
Okay. Well,
It's my
we kind
understanding
of-
we couldn't meet until the last. few
right,
days.
we kind of
Yeah,
asked.
so we asked,
We didn't meet until entire
We asked.
July.
but we asked whenever,
Yeah,
we sent an email dated, not this week, but last week saying, because that was on the phone with Pam Catalone and yourself. I don't know if you were on that call, but I was Wallace and I. We asked for an agenda, what, you know, and then Wallace sent a follow-up email saying, if you could give us a draft of what you'd like to discuss. We got a list of what, like, okay, we want to talk about, she said health and safety. And I think I came back and talked about the MOUs for the bottom 300, but we asked for a draft copy of the health and safety MOU. And we did not get it until yesterday. So we asked, because then we could preview it and review it and potentially go
but
through
in the
this.
sunshine, we have to present them at the table here.
Right.
We can't give you the proposals before we get to the table.
Okay,
And if you give us a proposal tonight for $10,000 supplement for everyone dealing with COVID, I have authority to reject that. But I will say, I'll take your proposal to the board at the very next time the board meets, which is what I said.
So are you taking these proposals to the board on Monday?
If the board can meet on Monday
The board is meeting on Monday.
in an executive session.
Okay, so that's where we lie. That's what happened in the summer. When we brought our thing, we said, oh, they're gonna, and you're like, they somehow couldn't meet that Friday because they thought they could zoom in and they couldn't. And then Friday morning disappeared. Then Friday afternoon, they couldn't get together. And then, but they're a board to make these decisions prior to, so they call an executive meeting tomorrow.
And they could say no. And then my answer will be no. So I have to get authority when you make a quicker financial ask. And I'm going to try my best to convince them it's in their best interest to deal with serious issues. All of these are serious issues, but they're relatively new issues. We haven't batted around your MOU for months.
So if they're going to meet on Monday at 3:00, and we know they're
that's
going
an
to meet,
agenda review. That's not for us, okay?
but if they're already planning to meet
Right.
and come together, has anyone reached out to say, we need to have an executive meeting? Is there a time before the agenda review on Monday that we can meet?
My conversations with them will remain confidential.
Okay.
Okay. I'm just going to keep it that way. But there is a need. That's all I can ask. That's all I can say. All right, so now let's just go through what do you like and don't like.
We didn't do learn-
We're on number 2.
the
for
learning,
learning.
right?
Yes.
Two you're okay with, right?
Yeah.
Three was your 3.
Mhm.
4 was your 4. 5, we discussed the hybrid model shall not be required. Somebody on your team came up with that idea.
We would like, and just for clarification on require that, because what was discussed was that there was the concern that if this teacher chose to do it,
Mhm.
and they were on the same grade level, that there would be an administrator that would
Force.
expect it to be done on the other. So at the teacher's discretion.
So you want to add required in LCS at the teacher's discretion?
I really,
I just want to make sure the intent is at the teacher's discretion. Doesn't
I really
say,
don't
but
even-
As long as at the intent, we understand.
my intent would be to get rid of 5
Mhm.
if I had my choice to do, delete 5.
Then we
Pardon?
keep 5.
You want to keep 5?
So yes.
Okay.
My teacher, my first year teacher.
So that's why
So tell me what you're trying to add to. That's why I guess I'm confused. I'm missing the
I just
point.
want to make sure that it's the teacher's choice and that it's not anyone
Oh,
else's
okay.
choice. That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
I don't know the answer to that. Talk with Jillian's question. I don't know that she resolved that. I wish she was here. That she resolved, are we going to have an option in every building that may seem unfair? Because you may have one person who's great at it and then someone feels bad next door because they're not great at it. I don't know
They can feel bad if they, it's not an option to not do it. Like I can feel guilty that my bulletin boards aren't beautiful,
Yeah.
but I also don't want a principal coming in, well, you know, her things are beautiful, yours have to be. So just the options.
Well, we're saying it's not required. We want it
So
not
if you have an issue,
required.
then you can reach
And
out.
then I guess the issue is go, if you want to do it, reach out
Say
to.
no. Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, or reach out to us. Sorry. Number 6.
We changed distant learning. That was a,
Do you want? Sure. Jillian said no hybrid. So we'd like to go back to the original wording of the live.
I think it's doing one prohibited.
So we're prohibiting something that's academic.
Well, it makes it unequitable on a school campus, which makes it difficult for one teacher to the next.
I'm going in. Let's, 1 minute.
You bring it out.
For those on the webinar, we're gonna copy.
We were on 5. We would like language to be, classes will not be taught in the hybrid model that was utilized in the 2020, 2021 school year.
You mind repeating?
Sure. Classes will not be taught in the hybrid model that was utilized in the 2020, 2021 school year.
Are there alternative hybrid models?
And that's the next question.
That's our proposal.
I feel like you're playing poker, like you know something about, like, what do you mean just the hybrid model? That was, so is there a version different than that? Is there something?
Go ahead. Well,
I mean, I'm just going back to, if it's not required, just say no. I mean, the teacher has the option to say no. And if there is fear of retaliation, or there are procedures in place to deal with those types of things.
Well, let's not worry about retaliation, just put the word utilize back in. That's our.
welcome counter. What's the word? I mean,
Utilized. Go back to the original language.
well, required was the language you all offered.
Yeah.
Yeah, you all offered
Yeah.
required
We just-
yesterday.
Yeah.
Yes.
Sorry.
Yes, you did. So if you don't want it, that's fine. I mean, okay, so you want to take out required and put utilized.
originally they had that.
They had you on.
We were-
Right, I know, but then Shari, they changed it yesterday, so we
Right.
changed it to what she
We
said.
didn't officially counter, but that was what the suggestion was.
Okay,
Now that we've reconsidered and have a better understanding of what
that's fine.
the situations could be, that's what.
Okay.
And then adding, are we adding on to number 5, the classes will not be taught in the hybrid model of the 2021 school year? That's
No,
No.
out.
No.
So it's out.
all right, you have our 6. Any issues?
The question that we have on number 6 is, does that mean that asynchronous instruction is going to be expected? And then what does that look like? And how does that impact folks that also have other job duties outside of traditional classroom teaching, such as therapists?
We'll have to get back to you.
Yep.
Okay.
Get with Jillian on that.
Yep,
This is her buzzword.
done.
So we addressed, I think, last time about the Leon County Virtual School. We can't support that, just the way they're set up.
So in the absence of it, what is the plan so that, or what should teachers, instructional staff expect?
I think to have their lessons on Canvas, and the kids are going to go on Canvas to get their lessons.
So just to speak to that, for like speech language pathologist, maybe occupational therapist and physical therapist, I'm not sure. For OT and PT, I'm not sure what their lessons would look like, you know, but for a speech language pathologist, if a student is working on speech sounds, we can't just give them a packet and have that be done with fidelity. I've been hearing some, that if students are home, we want to have continuity and have the instruction be done with fidelity for the kids that are home, possibly on quarantine or sick. And so what would that look like? Because for people like myself, I have to do it. I have to listen to their sounds. I have to adjust where their tongue is on their sound. If they're trying to make their R, I can't just give them a thing and say R 20 times and have that count towards quality evidence-based practices for what a speech language pathologist should do.
I guess,
So what does that look like for people like us?
okay, I guess 2 years ago, when a child was gone for a week, what did you do? Same
Yeah.
thing.
I got a packet from SLP,
Yeah.
and the SLP said my child, I was home for a month, and that's what the SLP did for my children.
That was last year, right?
So that goes.
Yes,
Two thousand
last-
nineteen,
yeah,
like we do
that's
with mono.
But that
We've
can
done
be,
with any
that's
absences.
more, when there perhaps aren't as many absences overall, potentially,
It
the
was
whole
just the packet.
classroom is out.
Mhm.
But that's still not,
So I
it's
just
not
wanna make
evidence-based
sure.
practice and it's helpful.
But for the purposes of what the understanding is, that the intent is that those students would then do it on their own based off of what was assigned. Okay, I just want to make sure that. we
And if a
understand.
teacher wants to do what all teachers do,
Right.
go above and beyond, they do.
More pay?
No,
Oh,
I'm just saying what you did in 2019, you went above and beyond always. If someone was at home, I know that. I know you would, Kim. Don't tell me you wouldn't.
I'm not putting anything on the record.
We'll put hazard pay for Kim. All right,
High risk.
combat pay, really. That's the term.
We agree to the language.
All right, video evidence. We are going to video everyone all the time. Put it on YouTube.
Okay, so that's it.
So number 9 is we're accepting your number 9. Your number 10, we're accepting. Are we accepting? What happened?
Yeah, it's
So we took that off.
Shall not.
Yeah, it says shall not on the other one. Wait, no.
Yes.
Number 9, this is-
10 they took out.
Shall be
10
disciplined. I like that.
See, 10's
Right.
taken out, but it wasn't underlined red on the other document. That's what the confusion was.
That was with the kid wasn't coming on and stuff. The hybrid model.
But we're still not going to.
We need not in number 8.
Yeah.
it should be not.
The word
We'll
not.
add that. Okay, sorry.
It's pretty funny type there. You will be disciplined.
Sorry.
I had an email to all of my emails to board members said, please do not reply all. And I forgot to not.
So number 10 was actually taken out, that employees shall not be disciplined for student lack of access, participation, or attendance.
What is the rationale?
Why, I mean,
Because that was last year when we were doing learning, remember y'all wanted to make sure that the kids didn't come on anymore.
okay, so just.
We're not doing
Right.
synchronized where we're the hybrid model anymore. So that was, you put that in last year because you were concerned that if the kid wasn't coming to the class and logging on and doing stuff that.
Not only that, but it was also quarantining too. And
Right.
that's still taking place.
No, it was for the hybrid is what we put it in for last year.
But
Yeah,
at this
it's-
point, we know
We
that
put it back in for the quarantining.
quarantine because
So we just.
'Cause they have lack of
it's gonna be
access?
Like absences.
Yeah, they're
It's
out.
gonna be the way we did it in 2019, not,
You wouldn't be punished because the kid is absent for 14 days.
right, you're gonna have 14 days to give them back to work when they come back too. By policy, it's in policy absences.
which policy number?
Like
is
if
that?
someone logged in, they couldn't log in, you couldn't be punished
Right,
on
Right.
that hybrid model.
but now what he's saying is if your kid is out for an approved, like if you're out for sick, right? And your parent, we wrote a note saying our kid was from the doctor's office, then the teacher gets it or the school gets it, and then they say you have these many days to make up the work. It's the same process.
How would
That's
we
all.
ever- I don't even understand how we would ever discipline you for a kid's lack of participation in class.
I just would like to make sure,
Mm.
No.
because no child left behind.
What president was that?
Kids
All right.
putting their heads down.
My question is, or not a question, our request is to know that if you would provide the policy of what the one is, because of
policy.
The attendance policy?
Attendance, yeah.
Check with Dr. Rogers.
All right.
Been in there forever. You're out a day, you get a day to make up. You haven't changed that.
is that policy shared with all secondary sites?
They should know that.
Every teacher.
They should know it, but we have new teachers. I'm just making
Okay.
sure.
We'll check with Dr. Rogers.
Okay.
Yes, they should go over every handbook and read it.
All right, number 9,
I do.
Right, they're supposed to do it too.
Days for the.
Admin should too.
number 9 is year 12. Yeah, class size and class size average, it's not gonna be. oh. The payment is not gonna be dealt with today. Prep issue, we would ask you to bring that up during non-COVID stuff. The first sentence under that I got rid of your last terms and conditions, it was a wordy deal that. If that was in last year, I don't know what we meant.
Yeah.
I mean, you had the LCTA reserves the right to change, modify, introduce,
that-
amend,
that
rescind
part's okay.
proposal.
Understood.
You
I
always
think
have
more
feelings.
importantly is the date of December 17th that we're looking at right now, and we'll take under advisement.
Yeah, we're gonna try to do a semester at a time. We're probably gonna sit down before the semester, but
So I know what we have to do is we have to give you all a copy of the vote.
Yeah.
We'll send you the word copy of this.
Okay. In terms of what's being shared on Monday, we want to make sure because it's COVID related.
Right, so what I need to do is I need to get what's gonna be shared on Monday. Will we have that tomorrow, you think? I don't know, but it's before, when I get it, you'll get it. If I send directly to the two of you all and to Leonard. No, but he wants it before, so he can have
I'm
a,
not sure what's coming out. We're not sure what's coming out tomorrow with Board of Education, so.
So you're waiting to hear from that.
Yeah, I don't-
we
yeah, I
want to
didn't
say
know.
something
yeah,
an
it's
hour
gonna
later, it
change
changes again.
in the
So
afternoon.
in terms of what parents were asking for of not discriminating because they chose to be vaccinated, not vaccinated, those types of things. Is it the intent of the district to discriminate against employees that have been vaccinated and not vaccinated on a quarantining process where some would not be asked to quarantine and some will be asked to quarantine?
I think it depends on the Department of Health. We've been saying that forever. We rely on the Department of Health. I do think the Department of Health in many districts have said, if you're vaccinated and just exposed with no symptoms, there's no quarantine. That's what I've heard in many places. Now, if that changes because of quote breakthrough issues, they can change that.
Well,
So it's not discriminating. It's
we want equity for all when it comes down to it, because we know that even those that are quarantined or that have been vaccinated, that because of the breakthrough that they do bring the virus or have the virus and can be COVID positive. So it doesn't make sense to have those individuals on a school site.
again, we're just going to follow the science as the Department of Health tells us. That's what I believe Dr. Cox is saying. I will check again because it changes more than daily. That's all I can say.
but as soon as they meet, I
And I
will.
do know, I believe the Department of Health is getting more uniform. I've had it different everywhere I go. And so that may be coming down. They're doing emergency rulemaking tomorrow too, with the Department of Education.
So is your ask, Scott, but as soon as we know what potentially is going to be discussed or what.
We are
impact the health-
actually, we'd like for on record to go ahead and ask that we meet sometime early next week, Monday or Tuesday.
Because the issue that we have right now is that there's going to be some things that seem to be intended to be shared on Monday that will have an impact on the working conditions of employees that then, as Dr. Cox likes to say, it's harder to uneducate people. So now you've got information going out. And what we want to make sure is if that information goes out, that the equitable treatment of instructional staff, whether in some eyes considered essential or not, that they are treated the same, vaccinated or not, because we want to make sure that we are keeping our schools as safe as possible.
I will do my best to move what I have to accommodate you on Monday. I have a couple things. I'll move it around. But I do know tomorrow is going to change a lot from everyone's telling us.
Right.
And so I'll do my best. You'll be first on the list and then I'll go down the line. I can do virtual with other folks. So that's the beauty of being here.
Is it?
What? What times are worst for your group Monday? I don't have a great time.
Well, the question is Monday,
After
school.
yeah,
We're in agenda review. That's when the board meets. at
3 to
3.
5.
So if you,
so
Well,
that's the issue with
do you wanna-
timing the school.
do you wanna
board
go
meeting
after?
the next
but the
day.
issue is I don't want information to go out from Dr. Cox. Like I want to, the earlier the better, I'm thinking. If they're in school,
So we know you have some things to propose,
right,
and you're trying to convene an emergency board, executive board meeting.
I'll follow
What
Leonard
time
and
is
Willis.
that?
That's at 3, the agenda review,
3 to 1?
3 to 5, 3 to 6, 3 to whatever they say we can.
We can meet at 5:15.
I'll try to see what's easier for them earlier or afterwards. It's not my call. There's 5 of them. So I'll give you either, I'll do whatever that I can get done.
Perfect.
But I have no real power. I just have to ask. I'll do my best to get answers to your concerns. That's all I can do.
Okay. In terms of the teacher leave money of the supplement or the supply assistance, what is the,
What I shared with you is yesterday for the good of the order, because I know there's a couple of new faces in here. What we talked about is it has to be distributed by September 30th. What Ms. Banks and the finance finance team is trying to do is to do the direct deposit. What you all did was present us with an MOU to guarantee that going forward, it would always be potentially direct deposit, no longer a credit card or whatever. I can't guarantee that right now. What I'm trying to do is get it out to you all as soon as possible. And they're looking into the ACH. I don't have that answer as of yet today. But I will say to you that she is trying to do direct deposit instead of doing, because it's later than what we've done in the last couple of years. So it'd be
Money's
easy.
already been spent, we're not now having a card.
Yeah, and so that's what they're taking into account. But what I think you asked for was going forward from now on could be done. I can't guarantee that. I'm just looking at,
so what we'll do is based off of what we're doing, we'll go through the COVID process first, and when we go full book, if that's the time to present it, then we'll present it then.
okay, that would be.
Any other questions?
So our goal is to get to you all the time potentially for a meeting on Monday, once meeting with Leonard and we'll.
We are also requesting Kim Banks be here, please.
Okay.
Is it possible to do it within the Howell Center where we can, or somewhere where the screen, we in real time deal with what we have to, so we make sure we
I
get
will
something?
get with, we'll work on that too.
Okay, because,
That'd be helpful.
yes, exactly.
Okay,
So we can see.
yeah. Okay,
Okay.
thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, we were both in the same meeting and I didn't figure it out. So finally said to him, I know where we are. I'll call you in a little bit. Do it post for customer.